diagnosis now. Hey, this pill is going to save me. It's going to change my life. I gave it about 5 months. It did nothing. I had multiple biopsies, and then the one, it changed to cancer. Like, does that mean that I'm doing something wrong? Did I not do enough? The patient starts to medically gaslight themselves. And you go, maybe it is all in my head. Maybe it is my fault.
Welcome to the Rock Bottom Podcast presented by Jigsaw Health, where we share health horror stories that inspire. Today's guest is Dr. Amie Hornaman, better known as the Thyroid Fixer. Her health struggle began with hypothyroidism and the frustration of being told she was fine even though she felt anything but. Her journey back to health started when she uncovered the root causes of her thyroid dysfunction, and today she's helping thousands of others find answers that they are looking for.
Before we dive in, just a quick note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice. So please always consult a healthcare professional before making any changes to your health routine.
This is the Rock Bottom Podcast.
Dr. Amie Hornaman, welcome to the Rock Bottom Podcast. How are you feeling today?
Oh my gosh, I'm super happy to be here. I just love you guys and love the message that you're putting out there. So happy to be a part of it.
Well, awesome. People may know you as the Thyroid Fixer, doctor. I have a copy of your Thyroid Fix book right here, The No-Nonsense Guide to Fix Fatigue, Fogginess, and Fat That Won't Budge.
I mean, who can relate to that? Pretty much everyone I know.
We've been doing the Rock Bottom Podcast for almost 30 episodes now, and I would say that so many, at least 50%, maybe 75%. Thyroid is involved. So we're going to talk about your thyroid rock bottom moment, but we're going to also talk about your uterine cancer scare that you had last year. So we've got a lot to unpack today. Why don't you take us back to the rock bottom moment that you want to talk about first?
Well, I'll first rewind 25, 30 years ago, because that was really kind of the start of the health crisis that I experienced. So way back in the day, I was always, I grew up the fat kid, first of all. I grew up the fat kid, and obesity ran in my family. Type 2 diabetes ran in my family. So I always had to battle that. So I started working out at a really young age. I mean, I'm talking doing step aerobics in my living room, or, Buns of Steel tapes, if you remember those.
Yeah, how old were you?
What? Oh gosh, I was probably, 11, 12, 13. Like,
oh my goodness.
When your body starts to change and you start to become a little conscious of how you look and the boys liking you and all that stuff. So
yeah, and you're probably like, I just don't want to end up like that.
Right. Like my family. Yeah. Like seeing, even my grandfather, he died on the operating table because he had complications from type 2 diabetes. I mean, our history in my family, the normal protocol was to have vanilla ice cream and Lorna Doone cookies after each meal. So that kind of became a habit. Sweets became a habit. Dessert became a habit. And so that just contributed to the already existing issue that was, obesity in my family. So I really tried to fight that in my early youth and my teens. And eventually that led me into the world of fitness. So I really became, deeply entrenched in the world of nutrition and fitness. And I started competing. I was doing fitness and figure shows, which is equivalent to bodybuilding. But I always tell people I didn't look like a dude. I wasn't like big and steroided up. I was the feminine side. That's what the fitness and figure division was back then. It was more feminine. So I really like the challenge, though. I love the challenge of trying to get my body in the best shape ever. And what it takes to do that is you have to be really strict. I mean, you're packing your food on Sundays. You can't go out to eat. You're not going to parties. Your social life is diminished. You're hitting the gym twice a day. But I loved it. I loved that challenge. So I had done plenty of those shows before. And I always hired a coach because, I firmly believe whether we're in business or life, we need a coach to guide us. So I hired a coach, and I was getting ready for this really big national level show. And I had to report into him. I had to get on the scale, give him my measurements, give him my weight every single week, and report into him. And every single week, here's me reporting a higher number on the scale instead of a lower number. And I'm like, this isn't biologically making sense. Whether you believe in calories in, calories out or not, when you're eating the way that I was eating and you're going to the gym, like I was going to the gym twice a day, the weight should be coming off, not going up, not coming on. So, I just did what we all would do naturally. I went to my doctor. I went to my doctor and said, like, hey, this is what's going on with me. What gives? It's not making sense. And I got told by doctor number one that you're normal. You're normal. Everything is fine. Your labs are fine. You look normal. So I didn't stop there. I went for that whole second opinion thing that we all do. And doctor number two said, you're normal. Everything is fine. Nothing to see here. Your labs are normal. Why don't you just eat less and exercise more? I was like, dude, it's actually impossible for me to eat less and exercise more, right? So then I kept going. I didn't stop. I went to a total of 6 doctors. Now, in this time, and you guys know, whenever you're telling a story, it's condensed. But if I really get into like the feels, and I'm not just telling a story, I get into the feels of it, I was rock bottom. I was in a deep depression, frustration. I was hiding under sweatshirts. I felt judged. I felt the whispers of people at the gym like, oh yeah, she's eating too many donuts. She can't stay on her diet. And that wasn't the case. I was being more strict. I was doing more than anyone. And the scale kept going up. So yeah, naturally I fell into a pretty deep depression, but luckily I didn't let that state of mind stop me from pursuing an answer.
Can I ask you, like, how many pounds up you were during this time?
I believe 40. I stopped getting on the scale at 25. When the scale went up by 25 pounds, I stopped. But when I look back at pictures, I'm 5'2", Ash. I'd probably gained around 40 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in what period of time, just to give us a little reference there?
Oh, I would say 6 months. I mean, it was rapid.
I mean, that's crazy.
And how old were you?
Like right around 21, 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the doctors are like, oh, no, this is normal. You're fine.
Yeah.
No, that is a red flag.
And I think my age worked against me too. I mean, well, I take that back because I see the same thing in our midlife ladies that come into the clinic now. People are still being told they're normal. They're being medically gaslit. They're being dismissed. They're not being tested properly. So it's as bad now as it was 20 some years ago.
So unfortunate. Okay. So you went to a total of 6 doctors. You're not getting any answers. You're highly depressed because you're like, I have done everything in my power to be healthy, to look healthy. Doing what you love was fitness. And you're just feeling like every day you're getting sabotaged by something silent, like this crazy mystery that you can't figure out. And you know something's wrong with you.
That's the key right there. That is the key. You know when something is wrong with you. And I say that to my audience as well, because we do. We know more than what's on a piece of paper on lab work. We know that more about our own bodies than what someone in a white lab coat knows. You know your body and you know when something's off. And literally, I felt like my body was a runaway train. Like I had no control. I couldn't control the way that I normally could. And I'm not saying that from like a weird psychological standpoint. I'm just saying when you reduce your calories, you should lose weight. Right? When you take care of yourself, you should be in a healthy state. And I wasn't. So I kept going and I finally went to doctor number 7, still in the conventional system. So we're still in the insurance-based conventional medicine sick care system. And I didn't know it at the time. So I just kept pursuing. So I went to the 7th doctor and she finally touches my throat. So no other doctor had laid hands on me. They were all just treating me like a lab value, whatever that lab was that they tested, and they're telling me I'm normal. Well, this doctor actually puts her hands on my throat, touches my thyroid gland, and says, swallow. And she's like, I'm feeling a little nodule on your thyroid. We're going to do some extra tests, but here's the thing. You have hypothyroidism, and here's a pill for it. So naturally, I left that office so relieved, so pumped up. I had a name because I had been praying, like literally, and this probably ties into the second rock bottom story. I had been praying for any diagnosis, like be careful what you pray for, but really I just wanted a name for what the hell was going on with my body. And I got it, hypothyroidism. Okay, cool. I have a diagnosis now, and now I have a pill, right? This pill is going to save me. It's going to change my life. I gave it about 5 months, and it did nothing. So
what pill was it?
Well, yep, Synthroid. So it was
Synthroid.
T4, levothyroxine Synthroid.
Yeah.
Which
Just
at that
T4.
point in time, I didn't realize that she gave me the inactive thyroid hormone that literally does nothing in your body. So for anyone listening, if you're on levothyroxine, if you're on Synthroid, if you're on Tirosint, you're on an inactive thyroid hormone that you don't have a single receptor on any of your trillions of cells in your body for T4. So I start Dr. Googling and I find this. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm taking this inactive thyroid hormone and there's this other active thyroid hormone called T3 that, oh, wait, that's what attaches to your cells. That's what gives you metabolism. That's what's going to help me lose the weight. So I go back to the doctor. I'm like, people are combining these two together. I bring her in papers, because that's what we do. We print it off at Dr. Google and we bring it into our doctor. And she looks at it. She goes, that's not standard of care. I don't do that. And I said, well, thank you. I'm going to find somebody who does, though, because I really felt in my gut that this is what I needed for proper treatment. Mm-hmm. So at that point in time is when I went outside the conventional system. Now, I reflect back, and at that point of time, I was a massage therapist. I was in my 20s. I was making like $300 a week. And I found a way. I found a way to pay for functional medicine because if I didn't find a way, I was going to die. I was going to shrivel up and die at that point. And so I went to functional medicine, which at the time it wasn't even called functional. It was naturopathic. It was
woo-woo back
alternative.
then.
It was woo. It was totally woo. It was totally woo. But, I kept hearing the name. I truly believe when God or the universe gives you messages, you're going to hear it 3-4 times. You go, okay, yes. I'll go. So finally, I went to see this guy who ultimately saved my life, who became my mentor, who put me on the right track, who put me on the right thyroid hormone replacement, who spent 90 minutes with me, not 5, 90 minutes with me, going through all of this book of labs that I had done. Oh my gosh, it was 20 vials came out of my body. But he used the data, and this is what we do with patients now. He used the data, asked me, how do I feel? Novel, right? How do you feel your symptoms? We're going to pair that up with the labs to put you on the right treatment protocol.
Beautiful.
And that's what ultimately saved me, and that's what changed my career path as well. So that's what led me down. Thankfully, it's always pain to purpose. All the pain that we go through ultimately has a good ending, ultimately has a purpose, whether you see it now or not. That was my pain to purpose. That's what led me into doing the work I do now.
Can you give us a hint as to what the combination was that ended up working for you, like the T3, T4?
Absolutely, absolutely. So first we started, for me, we changed me from that T4 only to natural desiccated thyroid medication. So I went on Armour Thyroid. Now, NDT is still 80% T4, but 20% T3. So I was getting 20% of that active thyroid hormone, which my body loved in the beginning. And then over time, in working with a knowledgeable practitioner, we kind of figured out, my body doesn't take that T4 inactive thyroid hormone and convert it very well into T3. So that's essentially what our bodies have to do. We have to take the inactive, we have to pull off an iodine molecule, and then it becomes T3 and it becomes active. So my body didn't do a really good job at converting. And actually over time of working together, we found out that my body doesn't convert at all. I actually have a genetic SNP that prevents conversion. So I now take T3 only. So, even when you compare that from going on just T4 only to now I'm on T3 only, that's such a different protocol that really screams why it is so important to be nuanced with your thyroid treatment, because not everyone is created equal. We are all unique individuals that need treatment protocols tailored to us and our unique biochemistry.
What is that SNP?
It's the DIO1 and DIO2. Right now, I know the DNA company tests for it. Back then, when I was going through what I was going through, we didn't have a genetic test in the United States that tested for that. But now
So you have both of those SNPs?
I'm always not good at this. I have one copy on each one. I think that's like the heterozygous. Instead of like homozygous, basically like there's no way in hell you're going to convert. Heterozygous, you have a fighting chance. It's kind of like the maybe, but I present as I just don't. If you give me T4, I go hypothyroid immediately. So I just kind of know it more through trial and error.
Yeah, what did you, I guess, feel? What were the symptoms that made you realize you had these SNPs?
Well, anytime I would bring in T4, and again, having a knowledgeable practitioner to actually work with you was such a big piece of the puzzle, where he would literally go, okay, you've been on T3 now for a while. And this is what I do with my patients to this day. You've been on T3 only for a while. It reduced your reverse T3. It brought up your free T3. You're feeling good. Your symptoms are pretty much alleviated, right? So now at this point in time, let's do an experiment. Let's try to add in like a small dose of T4, like 12.5 micrograms, 25 micrograms. Let's just add it in and see how you do. Well, within 1 week, I had gained like 7 pounds and literally became clinically depressed, to where I was like, oh my gosh, this is what people talk about when they say they don't want to get out of bed in the morning.
So it's basically like poison to you, because your body is not able to do anything with it, and it just kind of is like a foreign invader, essentially, because naturally you're supposed to turn it into an active form so your body can use it. But if it's just kind of sitting there, it causes problems.
Exactly. So when we're talking about, and this might get a little bit geeky, a little bit nerdy, but when we're talking about thyroid hormone, and we're talking about the tests that you need to look at, there's a test that we always look at called reverse T3. And what that is, it tells us how well your body is converting that T4 into T3. Because essentially that T4 thyroid hormone, whether it's the T4 that your thyroid gland is naturally producing every day, or it's the T4 that you're taking internally in the form of Synthroid, levothyroxine, Tirosint, or Armour Thyroid, NP Thyroid, you're taking that in, and that T4 has 2 paths it can choose to go down. It can go down and convert and become free T3, which is what we want. That's that natural conversion process where the inactive becomes active. But the other path it can go down is the path of reverse T3. Now, reverse T3 is a hormone, but it's essentially the anti-thyroid hormone. It puts our body into a hibernation state. And it's built into our bodies for a reason. Because if we're in a car accident, trauma, we're lying in the ICU or the ER fighting for our life, our bodies know that reverse T3 needs to go up in order to protect us. Because what it's saying is, this person is fighting for their life right now. They don't need to lose weight. They don't need to make major decisions, balance their checkbook, have sex, grow their hair, or even poop. They just need to lie here and survive. And so reverse T3 will go up in that clinical setting, which makes sense. But we don't want reverse T3 elevated when we're walking around outside of a hospital bed trying to live our best life. Like, we don't want our bodies being like, this person's dying. Like, no, it's not. I'm just trying to work out and run a business and go to the store and hang out with friends, damn it. And my body thinks I'm dying in the hospital. So that's why when I take T4 and when other people who don't convert well take T4, they think that they're dying, because your body thinks that you're dying in a hospital bed, and it raises that reverse T3.
Wow, that is fascinating.
That I've never heard that explained so succinctly and so clearly. And I think you even said this, typical thyroid panels do not generally look at reverse T3.
You have to ask for it, and you have to ask for it every time. Oh, Patrick, I've even seen patients come in from functional and integrative practices, and they don't have the reverse T3 on there. I'm like, oh my goodness, then you don't know the thyroid. Actually, I just posted this on social, and this is a great tip. It's very, very simple. It's a great tip for everyone listening. If you are working with someone who does not test reverse T3, the translation of that is that they don't know what they're doing with the thyroid. You're not going to get thyroid help from that person. You might get gut help. You might get like adrenal help. You're not going to get thyroid help, because if they don't test reverse T3 every single time, they do not know the thyroid.
That is a really good tip.
And we'll post it in the show notes, but while we're talking about it, what is your social that people can go find this if they want to pause the show and go take a look?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Dr. Amie Hornaman on Instagram.
Awesome.
And then we have a really cool Facebook group. It's called the Just Fix Your Thyroid and Hormones Facebook group. And I've really curated this group where a person can go in, you post your labs in there. Just post them, even if you don't have reverse T3. Post your labs, post your symptoms, post what medication you're on, and we are in there guiding you. So we will absolutely help you out there.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Why is the thyroid sort of a leading indicator? Why do 75% of the people on our Rock Bottom podcast have thyroid issues that they're aware of? And why is that?
It's the master gland. So I always say from head to toe, the thyroid runs the show. Meaning literally the hair growth on your head to your brain function, to your eyesight, to your metabolism, body temperature, heart rate, blood pressure, cholesterol panel, insulin balance, gut motility, skin cell turnover, all the way down to your big toe. Is it ripping off all the time? Yeah, that's thyroid. So with the thyroid being the master gland, we can see how, well, it's also a canary in the coal mine too. So pretty much anything that we encounter in this world, from toxins to stress, EMF exposure. I mean, you guys talk about it in Breaking Big Food. Like we're bombarded by unpronounceable chemicals in our food, like frankenfood. Like, what do you think that's going to do to your thyroid? Your poor little thyroid that runs your entire body, that responds to everything you come in contact with, is going to shut down if it's bombarded with what this life pretty much brings these days.
Yeah.
From stress to EMF exposure to pesticides to all the things. So my stat is, the in general stat is 1 in 8 women get hit with hypothyroidism. And I'll go into why women more than men. Wow. But honestly, it's half that. It's 1 in 4. It's 1 in 3. I'm sorry, the stats are wrong because we're not taking into account the undiagnosed, and the undiagnosed make up as big of a number as the diagnosed. I mean, I was one of those stats of the undiagnosed for a very long time. And how many people would stop at doctor number 3, 4, or 5? Most of us. Most of us would stop and go, well, 5 white coats just told me that I'm normal and it's all in my head, so it must be my thing. I must just need to eat less and exercise more. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you for sort of giving that overall picture. Take us now back to the story as you began to take Armour Thyroid, or actually you switched then from Armour Thyroid because it has T3 and T4 to now only taking T3.
Right.
What was your experience then as you were sort of like, okay, T3 only, now how are you feeling?
Oh my gosh. Well, I started feeling the shift with the Armour. I mean, just that shift alone.
Because of the introduction of the T3?
Right.
Okay.
Right, because of that T3. So it's like the lights started coming on, and you could feel that little bit of like that shift in your body, where maybe my clothes started fitting a little bit better. The inflammation came down. Water retention and edema is really big with hypothyroidism. So not only will you gain weight, you'll also get this like classic moon face. You'll get a lot of like it's called myxedema. So it's almost like a thickening of your skin where there's water retention underneath the skin. Very, very common with hypothyroidism. Basically, you feel inflamed. So that inflammation layer came down, but the 40 pounds wasn't really peeling off very easily, let's say. A couple pounds came off, which gave me a little bit of hope, but it wasn't coming off like it should. And so when I changed to, first we started on a T3, T4 combination where the T4 was itty bitty, minuscule in the grand scheme of things. It was more like a 90% T3, 10% T4. And that started moving the needle a little bit. But when we pulled the T4 out completely, that's really where, my body started shifting and changing. And then, you're monitoring the dose, you're changing up the dose. So when you're working with someone that treats you like the nuanced art piece that you should be treated as, they really do dial it in. I mean, that's what we do with patients now. It's like, okay, we're not quite there yet. Let's just go up by like 10 or 20 micrograms, and that might be your sweet spot for your optimal dose. So it really is about just finding that sweet spot dose that works with your body. And I get this asked all the time, like, what's your favorite thyroid medication? I go, the one that works for you and the combination that works for you and the dose that works for you. There is no one size fits all.
Yeah. And
Go ahead.
how often do you retest? How often are you getting blood work at your clinic? Once a month?
For
Once
me
every 2 months?
personally, yeah, I mean, I'm optimized and I have been for years, so I'll just do blood work once or twice a year. Unless, something comes up that I need to check something. But for our patients, in the very beginning, we really like to test more often because it's that beginning stage where, okay, we're going to implement and then we're going to change your dose and we're going to retest and see how you're doing and ask you how you feel and pair that up with the labs and make another change. But once someone gets optimized, then you can start spacing it out like once every 4 to 6 months.
Okay, good.
And I have a question. What is your thought on the Dutch test? I know a lot of practitioners will lean towards a Dutch test, which is a urine test, over blood work for thyroid and hormones. What is your thought?
So the Dutch test does not do anything with thyroid. There's no thyroid markers on it whatsoever. It's all hormones. Now, we do thyroid and hormones in our clinic. So blood is really key for dosing hormones. We can't use the Dutch test to dose hormones. What we use the Dutch test for is to see how well a person is using their hormones, which pathways they push them down. And that really helps us with, kind of supporting the body if somebody needs help in methylating their estrogen and detoxing their estrogen because it's pushing down the wrong pathway. Then we can bring in things like calcium D-glucarate and acetylcysteine to really help to push it away from the growth-producing estrogen to, let's say, the more protective estrogen pathway.
Okay.
So your own experience led you to change your practice or change the course of your life, really. Maybe talk about that and what led you to write the Thyroid Fix.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's a book that's been in me for years, and when the time was right, I knew okay, it's time to put this out into the world, and I wanted it to be just so different from everything else out there because obviously, as a thyroid patient, I've read every thyroid book that's been in print for the last 25 years.
Yes.
So I know what thyroid patients have access to, and I know what they don't have access to. And no one, I'll use the term brave, because why not? No one has been brave enough to put into a book until now exactly what that patient needs to ask for from their doctor in terms of medication and dose. A lot of the thyroid books out there just take adrenal supplements and, stare at the sun and get good sleep and reduce gluten and everything will be fine. And we're going to heal your Hashimoto's naturally. Or they're really super clinical and they're written by an endocrinologist that's well, TSH is the gold standard and we're only going to use T4, maybe just a little baby dose of T3. And I'm like, what? So nobody has gone in and literally, because I have faith in people. I really do. I have faith in the listeners right now that you are smart. You don't need a medical license. You don't need to have a white coat on. You can learn your body. You can learn what your labs mean for you. And you can learn exactly what thyroid hormone replacement you need, in what combination, and in what dose you need. And yes, you can have that power to ask for it. So this book literally puts the power into your hands you got to do a little bit of work. You got to get your labs in. You got to look at it. You got to compare with the optimal ranges in the book. You got to kind of follow your own adventure or choose your own adventure protocol that I have in there. But you're going to have the power to literally walk into your doctor's office and go, okay, Dr. Smith, my reverse T3 right here is a 20, and that indicates that I'm not converting my T4 to T3 very well. And you have me on Synthroid at 88 micrograms, which means I need to really reduce that to about 50 micrograms. And we need to add in T3 at 5 micrograms twice a day. And I'm going to titrate up to about 15 micrograms twice a day until that free T3 gets in the upper quadrant of the range. The reverse T3 goes below a 12, and I feel better. And that's what we need to do.
I love that. It's so empowering. I mean, this is what we need more of. There's so much confusion and so little of this. So I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And it means so much, and we need more of you.
This is what the Rock Bottom Podcast is all about. But we're not done yet.
But wait, there's more.
But wait.
Because we want to talk about what you shared about a year ago on social media, which was very vulnerable and very honest, and you had a lot of outpouring from your followers, your community about your uterine cancer. So take us to that moment if you could.
Incredibly humbling experience. So yes, about a year ago, I got a call that I had the big C. And how that came about was basically I'm a big proponent of hormone therapy, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. And I was on a protocol which it's called rhythmic dosing. It's essentially supposed to induce a cycle. So you take your estrogen and progesterone in a certain way that still produces a cycle. Now, many women out there are probably like, are you crazy? Like, I celebrated when my cycle stopped, but I know the benefits, the detox benefits of having a cycle every single month, and the youthfulness that provides and all the benefits. So I wanted to try this out. The thing is I was the anomaly and I wasn't bleeding when I should have been. So, my practitioner that's guiding me, she's like, let's do a vaginal ultrasound. Let's get a biopsy, just for some giggles. Let's figure this out. So I do that. I do the biopsy, and the biopsy comes back with these abnormal cells, atypical hyperplasia, it's called. And the gynecologist basically says to me, like, well, standard of care is that we do a hysterectomy. And I said, I did some research, and there's only a 30% chance that this is going to flip to cancer. I got a 70% chance that it doesn't, and then I get to keep my uterus.
Yeah.
So let's make a deal. So I played let's make a deal with my doctor. I said, let's make a deal. I keep my uterus for now, and I come back once every 3 months for a biopsy. And he's like, really? You really want to be I'm like, it's not a thing. I mean, if I have to come back once every 3 months and you have to poke me for 5 seconds to keep my uterus, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So I had multiple biopsies, and then the one that I got the call on, that's like, you lost the bet. You fell into that 30%. It changed to cancer. Now, did it change to cancer? Was the cancer always there? We don't know. But then, I remember being on the phone going, so it means I need a hysterectomy now, doesn't it? So, I knew that was going to be the treatment. And luckily we had caught it early. So thank God I tried that form of hormone therapy. And thank God I didn't bleed to raise an eyebrow to go like, what's going on here? We need to check this, because I caught it at stage 1, grade 1. If I had let it go, it would have continued to grow, possibly going into ovarian cancer, which is a much tougher cancer than uterine cancer, because with uterine cancer, at least it was contained. It was in a container, right? And believe me, I had thought about leaving that container in and doing all of the things like HBOT and this and that and all the alternative therapies. And then one of my dear friends goes, if you don't take the container out and it spreads and it goes to your ovaries, which is a whole different animal then, how are you going to feel? And that's all she said to me. It sounds so basic, right? But her words impacted me to the point where I went, oh, okay, yeah. I'll take the container out. So I got it out. But now, I mean, I would say the rock bottom moment there was where it hits your identity. Yeah. I mean, the thyroid thing, yeah, I mean, I was into fitness, I was into health, but hypothyroidism doesn't have anything to do with how you take care of yourself. It's not your fault. It's just something that can happen. But cancer, we kind of tie into lifestyle and health, right? So here I am, a health advocate, and I just got cancer. Like, does that mean that I'm doing something wrong? Did I not do enough? Was I lax in my diet? Did I let sugar come in or something? Like, what, did I not take enough supplementation? I don't know. So you start literally kind of questioning your own identity when you get this diagnosis as a functional medicine practitioner. So right now I would say I'm in this space, and I'm working on this, definitely. I'm working on the being in a little bit of fear of it returning, which is natural if I'm being honest and vulnerable. Of course it's there. I'm not going to sit here and go, I beat it and I'm strong and, it's never going to come back again. The bottom line is we all have cancer cells, and I don't know why it appeared in the first place. This is an 80-year-old cancer. This isn't a 50-year-old cancer. This is something that my grandma had when she was like 75, and normally they just let it go. They go, well, that's not going to kill you. That's such a slow-growing cancer. We're just going to let it go. So why? That's the big question as to why. So now I'm kind of in prevention mode. And yeah, I mean, if I'm being totally honest, I'm in fear mode. And I know everybody in the mindset community is going to go, don't say that. You need to change your mindset. But I'm human. So yeah, it's naturally going to be there.
A lot to unpack there. Let's start with the mindset. I think that the power for you has been in talking about it vulnerably, with vulnerability, and the benefit and the empathy that you're able to give to your patients who know that you are a human too. You're a superwoman and a human.
Thank you.
And I think that, you know, my working thesis is cancer is on the rise for the last 4 decades. It really kind of ties into the Breaking Big Food documentary that the amount of chemicals, the amount of things that our bodies are exposed to these days, even if we're trying to eat clean and gluten-free and organic and all those things, it is sadly such an assault that we are under that I think the fear is real, right? Because having been through it before, in fact, I kind of want you to take us back to the conversation that you had with the doctor when you first heard the C word. I imagine that fear kind of jumped into your body then.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it floors you. And, you know, and you guys will relate to this as the typical driver type A entrepreneur. I landed in Austin for the Health Optimization Summit where I was speaking and having a booth.
Yeah.
And I got that call and I'm like, I ain't got time for this. I got the next 4 days that I need to perform. I'll get back to you on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like literally, like that's how I had to approach it. Like, okay, we're going to do a hysterectomy. Sounds good. I'll come in next week. Gosh. I mean, that you kind of shut down when you first hear it. And you know, it's like tunnel vision. I got to get my stuff done. I got to do this work thing and perform and then come back to it later. So it really wasn't until I went into the appointment, I sat down, you know, we started talking about that reality of having my insides taken out, which honestly, I resisted. And it took a while for me to figure out the why, because I don't have kids. I don't have an attachment to my womb. I know women get hysterectomies. Women get hysterectomies for heavy cycles, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And here's me, like, I don't want to lose my reproductive organs. I just, you know, it's a piece
God
of me.
gave them to me for a reason, you know?
Right, exactly. So it really wasn't until I was like sitting down with the doctor going like, isn't there anything else we can do? Like, no, nothing. Like, okay, I guess it's surgery, you know? And it was almost, it felt like I was giving in.
Yeah.
It felt like I was surrendering. And we type A's don't like to surrender.
Right.
We don't want to lose.
And yet somehow that seems to be a part of the journey as a type A, where the universe is a John
maximizer.
John Hacker, who we had on the podcast, he had a great phrase. The universe is an irony maximizer.
I love it.
Yeah.
So it's like the person that doesn't want to give up the most will be pushed to the point where they must surrender at some point to realize the bigger why, right?
Yeah.
To learn the bigger lesson. So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
the challenge of life and the beauty in it all at the same time, I guess.
It is.
There was another phrase that you said early on that I wanted you to dig into a little bit more, where you have patients coming to you that are being medically gaslit.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So, you know, we get this term from like a narcissistic handbook, but it really does play very well into what's happening in the conventional medical system, in that, just like I was told, you're normal, you're fine. It's all in your head. You're just getting older. Eat less and exercise more. All of those are medically gaslighting terms, meaning, and your doctor isn't doing it maliciously. They're doing it because that's what they were taught. That's what they were taught in med school, especially when it comes to the thyroid. And I talk about this in the book. They were taught to test one marker, TSH. If that marker is flagged high or has an H next to it, then you jump over here and you give T4 and you pat them on the back and wish them good luck and tell them you'll test them again in 6 months. Like, that's the standard of care model. That's what they learn. That's what they're literally brainwashed into. So it's really going to take a very unique driver of a doctor to go out and learn more than what they did in medical school. And that's just rare. So, the bottom line is you're going to go in and try to have this conversation with your conventional doctor, and they're going to tell you the same things that they told me. They're going to test TSH, and if it falls within that standard lab value range, you're going to get told you're normal. And you're going to sit there and go, what? Really? I'm normal? All right. Well, yeah, I am getting older. That's true. Yeah. Maybe it's just, maybe it's horrible.
Maybe it is
all
in
that
my
stress
head.
I was under. I did go on vacation last week and ate badly. Yeah. And then what happens is the patient starts to medically gaslight themselves. And you go, maybe it is all in my head. Maybe I am going crazy. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough. Maybe it is my fault. And that's the biggest. If something pisses me off, nothing pisses me off more than that. When a patient starts to blame themselves, because this isn't your fault. None of it is your fault. Like, you can't undo a thyroid problem. It just happens. Hypothyroidism, 95% of it is Hashimoto's. That's autoimmune. Autoimmune happens. Look at the world that we're in. It goes back to what we talked about in the beginning: pesticides, EMF exposure, the frankenfoods, all the things. It's not your fault at all, but yet we blame ourselves as if we could do more.
Yeah.
Well, that is a really encouraging message. Not necessarily a message of like, it is kind of a message of victimhood, but it's not. It's not something that you did to get this, meaning you're sort of not a victim. We're all a victim of the pesticides and all those things. I guess what I'm circling to is there is something that you can do to fix it. You can fix your thyroid. You can improve how you feel by focusing on your thyroid, by focusing on the labs that most places don't talk about. And again, this show is not about medical advice, so don't just go, taking thyroid stuff. You have to get them by prescription. I guess, right. Dr. Amie, how can people who are in the audience listening to us, how can they work with you at your clinic?
Yeah, absolutely. We prescribed all 50 states because that was part of the driving force when I was being tossed around in the medical system and misdiagnosed. I knew that was a goal of mine, and it took a few years to build the practice up to where we could prescribe to all 50 states, but we're there. And I really wanted that help accessible to everyone, no matter where they were in the United States. So they can go to dramie.com, DRAMIE.com. Right there, you'll see Become a Patient. You click that button, you set up a call with our team, because we want to make sure that you're a good fit for us. And we want to go over your history too. You don't have to have labs for this call, but we do want to know, like, are you diagnosed? Are you on anything? What have you tried? What has worked? What hasn't worked? Have you been medically gaslit by your doctor? Like, we want to know all of that so that we can put you into the right program that's going to fix you. And yes, it is easy. We do this blindfolded in our sleep with our hands tied behind our back. It's easy. I don't know why it's so hard out there in the conventional medicine system. It shouldn't be, but it's easy for us because that's our jam.
So you would say then you're not going to be like the primary care practitioner. You are the thyroid fixer. You're the thyroid doctor that hopefully will work in conjunction with whoever you're working with for your primary care. Is that right? Like, you're just part of the care team, but you're like the ninja that helps with the thyroid bucket.
Yeah, we do thyroid and hormones. So yeah, okay, I always tell people, listen, if you need an antibiotic, that's going to be your PCP. Do you need a stress test? Go see your cardiologist. We are thyroid and hormones. And one of the things that I like to tell people, and I talk about this in the book as well, on the one hand, it's awesome that we have functional medicine now. We have integrated medicine now. It's not as woo as it was like 25 years ago. It's kind of more mainstream, right? The problem is that now we have this slew of conventional medicine doctors getting sick of billing insurance. And so they're coming over to the functional realm and they're doing cash pay for patients, but they're not treating differently.
Yeah.
They're using the term functional as a marketing term. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard this.
So you really, buyer beware. Again, you got to be careful. You have to, number one, make sure that you're working with someone who is if you need thyroid and hormone help, you want to look for a thyroid and hormone expert.
Yeah.
You don't want to just look for that functional medicine term, because even in the functional medicine world, there's also jacks of all trades, masters of none. I mean, these are your people that on their website, they're like, we do mold and Lyme and adrenals and autoimmune and thyroid and hormones and gut and your big toe and your hair and your eyesight and everything. It's like, then what are you good at? Like, what do you do really, really well?
What do you specialize in?
Right.
And, I just think I personally know a lot of people, a lot of women that have complained about, I don't feel right. I don't know about my hormones. They're probably messed up. I don't know who to use. I don't know who to trust. Like, I went to one doctor and they put these pellets in and now my hair's falling out. And there are so many people mispracticing hormones because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they can, so they do. And it's a real problem. So to have a resource like you that I can even just tell people that I know, go to her website, talk to her team. She is Thyroid and Hormones. She's your girl. And they make it easy for you. Plus, you give things like this book that can help educate on why you're doing what you're doing and help them learn more about themselves in the process.
Yeah.
This is where medicine should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for the referral. And I totally agree with you. I mean, I think now that we're having a bigger focus, especially on women's health, perimenopause, menopause, that it's the same thing we were talking about earlier. Now it's gone the other way. So now we have these pop-up hormone clinics and we have the pellet clinics and, everybody's getting hormones in a box and they don't know what they do or why they're taking them and nobody's testing and nobody's testing the thyroid with the hormones. And it's kind of like the Wild West out there. So, the consumer, the patient really needs to be savvy before they fork over any money, whether it's a copay or whether it's paying for a program out of pocket. You have to be savvy. You have to know what to look for.
Well, the Thyroid Fix is a good, affordable place to start. Get the book.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
One of the questions that we love to ask all of our guests is, if you wrote a book about your health journey, what would be the title of the book? You already wrote it, The Thyroid Fix. So I'll jump to the second question that we love to ask our guests. At your lowest, at your rock bottom, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, where were you? What was your number?
The first rock bottom moment with the thyroid, it would have been a 2. 2 is the lowest, like you're really hitting rock bottom, right? Or is it the opposite? Did I flip those around?
Yeah, 1 is the lowest, but yes.
Yeah, like
it was very
1,
low.
you're really freaking rock bottom. 2, you're like just above hitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a
You're
2.
barely white knuckling it, hanging on, right?
I was a 2. Yeah. The cancer scare, even though, I mean, big C is a lot more of a major problem than hypothyroidism, I think I was just more well equipped. Just like you said, Patrick, I had this outpouring. Oh, it floored me. It humbled me. It floored me. It brought tears to my eyes. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to start tearing up right now. The amount of people that came out of the woodwork offering help and prayers. Oh my God, it was crazy. So I think I was more equipped for that diagnosis. I was stronger. So it wasn't, I would give it maybe like a 5 or a 6, maybe even a 7, because I had such an incredible support system.
And again, having the diagnosis, knowing what it was is one thing. Gaining all this weight, feeling like garbage every day, worse and worse and worse, and no one can tell you without an answer and have no idea what's going on is that's worse, because then you don't even have a direction to go.
Yeah. The unknown. Yeah. And that's why that's really why I wrote the book for 2 sets of people. The diagnosed that feel like crap and they're not being treated properly, but also the undiagnosed. They are fat, foggy, and fatigued and losing their hair and all the things. And they're like, what the hell's wrong with me? And that's really why I wanted that to be a resource as well for people to understand there's a good chance it's your thyroid because it runs your entire body.
So nowadays, what is your number on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh goodness. I mean, I'm a 9 or 10. I love life. I love it. I love I'm living my best life. I'm optimized hormonally, thyroid wise. I love the challenges of running a business. I love helping people. I love spreading this message. I love doing podcasts. It's just, life is just good right now. It really
You're
is.
in your wheelhouse, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
exactly.
Good. Well, you look fabulous as always. It's so good to see you just thriving and the ray of sunshine that you are. Thank you for spending time on the show with us today. I think people are going to really enjoy this episode.
Well, thank you for having me.
This episode of the Rock Bottom Podcast is brought to you by Jigsaw Health, a family-owned, Arizona-based nutritional supplement company. Every formula is made with clean ingredients that are third-party tested to ensure that what's on the label is in the bottle and nothing else. Learn more at jigsawhealth.com.
Do you have a health horror story? We're always looking for stories that will inspire others, so please use the link in the description to apply to be on our show. Finally, if this episode resonated with you, then please like and subscribe. It really helps others to find our show, and we want to help spread the word. New episodes drop every other Wednesday, so thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next show.